Peace, it surpasses all understanding. Here we go again. I'm not really sure how I'm going to title this one. A bit of frustration about 3 months ago. I received a letter from the town. Everybody got one. Everybody in the town got one. And it was from the recycling center. And, we, in this community, we talk about lies and distortions about what really is going on, and perhaps the mistruths about the environment, mistruths about what's really going on, okay? And I think this really lends itself to a prime example of the type of thing that I'm talking about, or the type of thing that I've really and this is kind of like on a very small level, the covert underbelly, and it all goes back to something as simple as recycling. Let's all save the planet, right? Yes, let's all save the planet. Let's do that. I am totally on board with that. Let's clean up the water, get rid of the landfills, blah, 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 right? So we get this notice, and this is a wide, broad, sweeping notice. It's not just my town or my state. I did a bit of research on this, and it all has to do with recycling. So we are let's just say we're charged as a homeowner to purchase from the town or from the waste management company, whatever. You're required to purchase trash bags or recycling bins for paper and plastic and glass and tin, and you follow, right? So we're being charged for this, right? And or taxed, as it were, blah 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 blah, right? And in this notice, it basically said, it did say that we will not be recycling anymore, except for burnable materials. And I'm like, all right, well, it is what it is, and there was some reference made to China. China was allegedly purchasing our garbage to recycle and or burn and or, right? And they were the story goes is that they were shipping it over on these big, these giant steamship, these giant ships, and China was taking everybody's garbage for a while. That's the story. But as I got to the bottom of the letter, there was some nice little fine print at the bottom. You gotta tell the truth and the lie at the same time. Fine print at the bottom. And I'm paraphrasing, okay? But, oh, by the way, all that recycling that we've been doing over the last whatever, how many years, 20 years, 30 years, blah, 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 blah. None of that shit got recycled. None of it. None of it. It's in landfills. None of it. Zero. Big fat goose egg. So the only thing they were recycling is organic material. And I can speak from my own experience, because having gone to the dump in my town, there was large organic compost piles for X, Y, and Z. And paper, cardboard, or burnable materials. But that was it, man. That's all there. And they use the burnable materials to create energy. Et cetera, et cetera. there's a lot of information on the internet about it. And before I pressed the button to record, I did, I've done a bit of research on it. And it goes back to even World War II. Paper drives, scrap metal drives, this, that, and giving the people an illusion that they were doing something positive for the environment, positive for the war effort, and it was all a big fat lie. None of that stuff. It was like placating a child. Everybody's all interested in the environment, and they want to do something, global warming and I'm not, whatever. This is about recycling. This is about the lies we are told. That, good little boy, go play with your toys. Go do a bit of recycling, and we're going to give you the illusion that you're actually doing something that's productive, and you're actually charging us for it because you're making us buy these stupid, ridiculous bins and these quote-unquote biodegradable recycle bags for absolutely no reason other than to make us think that we're having a positive effect on the environment. Something to think about. There's a lot of information. I'm not here to do your homework for you, but I can give you a little prompt, and there's a ton of it. There's a ton of information out there about this whole recycling thing. I believe one of them was recycling fact or fiction. I think that was one of them. But my point, even more so, is the way that we are misled by our governments, our leaders, the people who are supposed to be in charge, have our best interest at heart. And, so there's that. Now, on the flip side of that, that's the problem. Here's the solution. Are you living in the problem or in the solution, Scott? I want to live in the solution. Natural tobacco. Anyway, side note. The solution. So, if none of this shit that we're recycling, allegedly, is going to be recycled, and it's just going into landfill after landfill after landfill into the water and creating all sorts of havoc in our environment, okay? What do we do about that? We stop wasting that shit. We stop buying products that are adding to the problem. The plastic milk jugs. I'm trying to think of some of the other products that I have in my house. God, plastics, everything, milk jugs, soda bottles, glass, even things that are still packaged in glass, So what's the solution? We stop buying that shit. There was a moment there when I was considering, there's certain products that I really enjoy. Write a letter to the company. Joe Schmo, I love your product, but I hate your fucking packaging, and this is why. Package it in paper. Package it in something that can be reused or genuinely reused or repurposed or recycled, truly recycled, reused, or has a very small, and they use the word carbon footprint, I actually found a really cool product and that I enjoy, and I tend to be more on the vegan side. I'm a vegan. I stay away from animal products, but there's a very small company here in Maine that does some really awesome vegan foods, and the way they do their packaging, it's basically one tiny little sheet of saran wrap. Maybe they could use wax paper. I don't know. I love their product and I want to continue buying it, but I'm not crazy about the, you know, you can tell by the way they package their product that they're conscientious about it, but they haven't. It's like, wrap it in wax paper. Wax paper can be burned and used as for your fireplace. You know, who knows? You know, light your grill. But I don't know. I just, this all kind of, like, the reason I'm sharing today is there's a fellow YouTuber, MJ Robertson, and in her share today, she was making reference to recycling and the distortions, and you know, and it just kind of, it was that poke on the shoulder, like, you feel a certain way about this too, Scott, and you know, so what do? You know, I will say that I am much more mindful. I truly am. I'm much more mindful about the amount of garbage that I produce. And I've noticed a dramatic decline in how many trips I make out to my garbage can. You know, instead of going out to my, you know, bringing a bag of garbage out to my garbage can for them to pick up, instead of it being on a weekly basis, I'm starting to buy smarter. Buy products that have very small impact, or are reusable on some level. The packaging is reusable for another purpose. Or buying things in bulk and refilling a container that I already have. And anyway, it was kind of the nudge on the shoulder that I needed to maybe open my mouth, and I don't know, man. I've always been such a, like, kind of, but like, shit's starting to bother me, man. Especially when, you know, it's just this perpetual lie that, yeah, recycle. You're throwing it, you're throwing it, you know. You're giving me the illusion that I'm doing something positive for the environment, and you're doing something covert over there and burying it in a hole, you know, and it's rotten for the environment. It's seeping into the waterways, and it's just awful. Anyway, that's my rant, you know. But deception, delusion, covertness, and motivation to purchase and use and recycle, reuse, recycle, repurpose wherever and whenever I can. And I may not be able to affect the entire world, but I can affect the world that I live in, you know, my little corner of it here in Maine. And hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I'm actually in a pretty good mood, and just enjoying the day, getting lots done. Very productive day. I feel good. Lots of what do they call it? Immediate gratification in a lot of the work that I'm doing today. So, as always, I would encourage you, if something resonated with you, or you'd like to continue a discussion, by all means, leave a comment. But I'm also going to leave my email address. If there's any topics that you want to talk about, maybe you don't feel comfortable doing in the public forum, I'll leave my email address too. So, peace that surpasses all understanding. Genuinely, peace that surpasses all understanding. Beautiful day here in Maine, and the temperature is actually coming up. I think it's about 40 degrees today. Yesterday it was like -0. It was brutal. Anyway, you don't like the weather in New England? Wait a minute, because it'll change. Love you guys. Peace. I'm out.